Welcome back.
I don't know. Tell me.
Okay,
Give me the full spiel, please.
Star Network is an organization that builds blockchain hubs, and this is our flagship hub, Starfish Mission. We opened in April, and we support the industry. So we have, how many companies do we have in the space right now? 15. 15? Then we had like 4 people joining us today.
16.
I estimate we have 17 companies in this space, and we do 22 plus events a month. And we do developer training, and we're also opening hubs in other cities. I don't know if you guys know this yet, but I'm working on Starfish Berlin and LA. Woohoo! So I hope you guys enjoyed it enough. I'm going to give the link over to Archit? Yeah, okay. And if you guys are interested in a co-working membership, talk to me or Matt or John. Where's John? There. The one with the t-shirts. Thank you.
This is an awesome space. Yeah, I'm here in San Francisco for the second time this year, but yeah, I'm really based out of India. And,
oh, nice catch, nice catch.
Drum roll. Yeah, so we are from this company called TrueChain, and it's based out of Beijing. It was started by a friend of mine whom I met like 6 years ago in a program, and we kept in touch. And this guy was like, just start working in blockchain, and I'm like, yeah, sure. So I was working at Red Hat before this for like about 3-4 years.
Can you hold it a little closer to you, bud?
What?
Could you hold the mic a little closer?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like mine. So yeah, so I was in the performance engineering domain for about 3-4 years, and then earlier this year, this guy says that let's just start working in blockchains, and he pointed out a problem to me, which was problem of scalability that Ethereum is facing right now, that a lot of folks are facing right now in their own private or public chains, and we wanted to make sure we just solve that problem going forward, and so we started this whole effort. And that's where I kind of dived into the whole blockchain space, and then this is it. So here's what you might think that we might cover, which is the different classes of 2019 to 13, 1913, and then before that, which was 2008, the stable coin that crashed. And in 1913, it was all about bitcoins, just bitcoins, and then in 14 this guy comes in and says we can do scripting, and there's just much more to bitcoins than just the money itself. So this guy abstracts the technology out of it, says blockchain, and writes a white paper with Gavin Wood, which makes a lot of noise on the board. And so going forward from 14 to 18, we have a lot of efforts around smart contracts, around how we can run a lot of dApps. And then how can we do a token economy around this whole thing? Sorry, the slides are a bit out of order because I was preparing them, so I'll just go back. So then moving forward, 2018, as you might have heard, in various talks, it's the year of where we do a lot of ICOs, where we launch a lot of tokens, and then there were a lot of scams as well. There was the DAO attack and so much things, and so we had to counter that. And we thought that maybe algorithmically backed coin might not be the best idea moving forward. Maybe asset-backed thing is moving forward, which we had covered in the Crypto Underground meeting at Galvanize recently. And so all of these domains should be talked about when we have something stable. So at this moment, we kind of forked Ethereum, and we are developing a consensus algorithm called the hybrid consensus, and I'll just talk about it moving forward. So we are going to talk about the current chain ecosystems, the frameworks that are out there, what might be the problems when we actually talk about two chains or doing the same thing. One of the chain, which is in our case a permission chain, and the other one is a permissionless framework. So the permissionless framework could be anything. It could be proof of stake, could be proof of work, could be anything. And the permission chain could be all these protocols that you just might see over here, like you see a lot of these protocols, like somebody talks about directed acyclic graphs. Someone talks about VFT, which is Byzantine general's fault tolerance problem. And so then if you have proof of stake and proof of experience and proof of elapsed time and so many things. But we just wanted to make the best of what we can at this moment, just following the real world examples. So I'll just demonstrate what I'm talking about in the next slide, which is when we claim like a system is decentralized, or let's just say a system is centralized, we have various microservices running. And those microservices are on replicated systems. We have geo-replication, we have so many things we talk about when we talk about centralized systems. And we have distributed systems, which is also a manifestation of centralized systems. But when we talk about decentralized systems, what do we actually mean? Can we going forward, what do you think is needed for a decentralized system? It's the consensus, right? It's the ability to achieve a conclusion. And so how soon can we achieve that? At this moment, we decided that it's just natural, it's just obvious what comes to your mind when you try to come to a conclusion. You say that maybe I should do some kind of work, maybe I should do some kind of work that makes me spend some energy and makes the other guy, convinces the other guy basically to arrive at a conclusion that I did some work to achieve that honesty level, right? So you can do proof of work, but that wastes a lot of energy. We are all aware of that. I think it's Sweden, right? The country with the electricity consumption, and which blockchain crossed recently, and I think the Bitcoin stuff. And so, and then some folks said that we can maybe do something else, maybe proof of stake. So everybody has their own coins and stakes in the system. The stakes have some recency parameter, like if you hold on to your coin and then if you hold on to the coin for like 30 days, so that coin has a coin age, and that age expires the moment you put in your stakes, and the stakes are put into say that okay, I'm this guy with so many coins and so many stakes, and I want to propose a block, and so I join a validated pool where in that pool I kind of say that hey, so just deterministically, just probabilistically, just distribute some coins based on an algorithm and making a part of the minor block community. And so then, but the problem with proof of stake was you kind of have a single person with a lot of stakes who just might not want to spend that stake or keep it for a long time. And there are so many various scenarios possible with that kind of, we all know like the rich and poor game, right? So, and so it's not decentralized still. So then we have something called a delegated proof of stake or a delegated BFT, which promises that certain nodes in the entire world will take care of your decisions for you. So they might be connected to 20 more nodes, some anonymous network, but those nodes will be always your central nodes for your decisions to go through. And so, but that problem is it's kind of a decentralized system because you kind of rely on those nodes specifically, and they can be governed by a central authority again. So you're just bringing it back to the same old concept. It's not really fully decentralized, right? So moving forward, we wanted to have a system where we have all of these concepts. So when you think about hybrid consensus, what can you think about possibly? You should think about liveness, which is when you actually propose a transaction, there should be a confirmation really soon. And so the system is alive. So it kind of promises you a certain level of liveness. And so we also talk about consistency. For example, Alice and Bob are sending over $10 to each other, but what about the order? Because we are talking internet, right? It's an asynchronous model or a partially asynchronous model. So the packets may not arrive in the same order, right? And from San Francisco to Bangalore to Beijing to Boston, anywhere. So we will always have some latency in the network. So how do we ensure consistency? And that's a classical distributed systems problem, right? How do we achieve consistency? And we also have to take care of the asset properties of the database, right? What we're using, and how much data are we really talking about in the blockchain. So then we also think about other parameters like security, and how about if I do a man-in-the-middle attack, or how if I just, in the case of hybrid consensus, how do I ensure that this committee is private, which I'll explain why I'm talking about like this in a while. And also tolerance. So we want to ensure that the network is always running. Even though some nodes go up and down, maybe I will just decide to walk away and just shut my laptop off on my machine in the server. I'll just shut it off and I won't even run the protocol anymore. So I have to talk about tolerance all the time. And since we're talking a trustless system really, so how do we ensure a tolerance in that kind of system? How do we ensure that always 4,000 guys will be running this protocol, or this protocol will arrive at a consensus with certain number of honest guys in the network? So, and then the next topic is performance. How do we ensure that we are able to sync and talk in time? How do we ensure that we do not cross a certain network throughput or latency? And we always do this kind of syncing of the databases, right? You might have heard that it takes like 3 hours on an SSD for the Ethereum database to sync into your laptop, and without an SSD, it kind of takes an entire day right now. And with the public chain moving forward, we'll expect to have 200 gigabits of data, I think, if I'm not wrong. And so you have to really think about that scale when every node on the network is just storing 200 gigs of data. And so how do we ensure on-chain and off-chain compatibility? And then moving forward, because we've had so many chains, we also want to ensure how do we make those chains talk to each other? Because there will be always some guy in the world saying that my standard is best standard. Someone will say, yeah, we can achieve 10,000 DPS, we can achieve 100,000 DPS. But it doesn't make sense unless they can talk to each other. I can come up with a new company, but there is some certain human capital that Ethereum has ensured over these years. You cannot just, it's not impossible, but it's improbable that people will just migrate your things from one platform to another. So you have to ensure that there's chain migration possible, there's compatibility between all of these things. And so then when also you grow that much, you have to ensure that the thing is linearly scalable. That right now all of you guys are running the network, but what if I just make it available to the public? How do we ensure that the network doesn't get congested or the protocols are running fine? So we have the P2P protocol right now in Ethereum, which the Ethereum guys developed, the Dev P2P, and I believe they're moving forward to Dev P2P for all the developers out there. Anyway, so I'll just speak slower. Yeah. So, yeah, I have to keep this coming. So transactions per second, how many can you achieve that? So when you think about a protocol, you have to basically go over all of these parameters, all of these basic classical problems of computer science and applied computer science and practical computer science and everything. So you have to ensure that you can also do, on the management side, you can manage these chains 20 years from now, because this is a big thing, folks. I mean, you are trying to propose something which is kind of, I don't know, it's challenging the very norms that have established our societies and been running them for so long. And you're just gonna go away with 20 guys developing some framework, and are you okay with that? No, right? You have to ensure that everybody can understand that protocol. Algorithms are the law these days. I mean, you know. So we have to ensure that they are manageable in the long term. They are modularized. And there's a Moore's law, right? Things change. If I'm not wrong, that's a Moore's law. So things change every 2 years or so on. And semiconductor, there was a conference happening right now. I'm just expecting flatter screens next year. Yeah, so there's always something changes. So you have to ensure that things are, they work with each other. And then this whole economy, we talk like this, open source money, this investors just can put in, and then we ensure that they won't lose it. It's like an open casino, if you will. And at this moment, at least, when we are like facing hacks every year. And also it has to be for lay users, for layman users, explain to me like in 5 cents. I have to ensure that I'm able to use these technologies. My grandmother or my mother won't be able to possibly understand. If she's able to understand blockchain, she won't be going out there just expecting to pay in coins, right? We have to ensure that the platform is useful. So there are all these things that have been done in Ethereum so far. So many things. We don't want to target that. We don't want to target the layers, the protocols. If we have to, probably sure, we'll put up a team together and do that, but we don't want to target the interledger protocol at this moment. We just want to target transactions per second. And that's why we're just focusing on TPS at this moment. We don't know what will happen to the platform 1 year from now, but this is the year of experimentation, I believe, and every company is doing that out there right now. And so what we're actually targeting is just the small filtered out modules from that, which is just the consensus and everything else related to it. So it involves, because we have forked Ethereum, we're going to go ahead with the Go Ethereum code base and keep it updated with all the changes like the EIPs, the Ethereum improvement proposals. And we're going to be opening true IPs moving forward so that guys can also kind of propose a change to our platform. So, yeah, so we want to have our own encryption research that we're trying to do. So when you talk about hybrid, right, you're running a permission framework in a permissionless framework. It looks like this. The blue dots over there are the permission nodes, and the permissionless nodes are the red dots. And so the red dots are actually running a modified version of proof of work, which is called TrueChain at this moment, which I'll explain in a bit. So, which makes it basically the TrueChains make the selfish mining pool improbable, or the incentivization with that goes away. And so people in the red dot area will elect the guys from the blue dot area, and the blue dot guys are basically going to be changing over time. So let's just imagine as this whole thing, this whole building as the BFT committee. I call it the BFT committee, the blue dots, because we are like the Congress right now, and the red dots outside the entire world is the voter committee. So the voter committee relies on us to take the decisions, but we are not permanent. Just like the parliamentary system is not permanent, we keep on changing. If we are the adversaries, some of us might be, I don't know, adversaries or just unhealthy or something to do the carry forward with their work. They are supposed to be replaced. That's just a natural course of action in the human world. So we should really try to replicate that because that has worked for us for so long. So we want to be able to replace and rotate this committee, just like the 4-year term election period that we have, or 5 years in some countries. But we want to be able to rotate that thing and elect new members. But the basic fundamental difference in this and that is in the real world, we have fixed term committee election unless there's an emergency. But here we'll have on a view change completely. So this view change is basically the part of the practical Byzantine fault tolerance protocol that was proposed a couple of years back, decades actually. And this has been in the classical systems, the distributed systems for so long, but because we're trying to bring everything from distributed onto decentralized, we are facing some problems, which is when you maintain this kind of a system, how do you ensure that these guys are hidden? And the reason I'm saying that these should be hidden from the entire world is because once they are exposed, and we are talking internet, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking internet where everything is exposed every moment. We can just hack something, just DDoS distributed denial of service. So I need to ensure that these guys are hidden, or there's some proxy mechanism. So you have to do address obfuscation. You have to kind of follow some measure of protocol, which maybe just call it a Diffie-Hellman modification, or these encryption algorithms that were invented by professors and very good professors now. And so, yeah, decades ago. So we have to rethink that whole approach. How do we hide those things? And the reason it is faster in our case is because you know the addresses of everyone. You know whom to approach. You know whom to send a message. You don't have to follow that the proof of work protocol that they follow right now in the public chain to propagate through the peer-to-peer community. So you don't, right now how it happens is I tell my message to my neighbors and the neighbors spread my message, and so eventually my message reaches the destination, just like the routing protocol that we have in network layers. But in the blue dot area, the BFT committee that we are ensuring that we know each other's addresses. And so at the same time, we have to ensure that they are not denied of service. And so we rotate them, and we have to ensure some security measures. And so by doing that, we are ensuring some measures through which we kind of are able to achieve higher transactions per second. I won't quote the number at this moment because we are designing. We are in the phase where implementing the white papers and running a testnet internally. But we'll announce that in a week or 2 weeks, and then we'll have a main network in a month or 2 months. And so, yeah, so these are the protocols that we follow, and the PBFT thing keeps the consistency in check through view change and common transition pool. I'll just explain view change again. So each of the committee members let's just say we are talking to each other, but we are not sitting face to face, right? You are in different rooms. And so you're all on call. So you have to ensure that you're talking about the same page when you're talking about a book. Let's just say we're talking about a book. So my version is version 1 and yours is version 2, and somebody else is reading it on the internet and they have some version 3 or something. And so when I say page number 20, second paragraph, how do you relate to that? You have to ensure that you are on the same page with the same version. That's the version. That's the version for the view change in the committee. And through version, we keep a track of the consistency in the entire system. And so then we have a common transaction pool where the client sends a request and all of us kind of process it. These are the various phases that happen in the BFT committee. Quick show of hands who's interested in the details right now. I'll just move forward. Nobody? One guy. We'll catch up. No. 2, 3. What's the consensus, guys? Yeah, that's a fault-tolerant consensus, is it? So we'll just move forward and I'll explain to you later on. Or just, should I quickly, again, quick show of hands. Anyway, so I just move forward. So, so this whole thing that I showed you, just call it a fast chain and a snail chain, this slow chain and a faster chain. The faster chain processes all your transactions, and the slow chain is a dumb chain that kind of maintains your logs, the ledger. And so then any guy who's connected into the fast chain fetches all the ledger things from the slow chain quickly. And so the flow chain is kind of like a fruit chain. This was proposed by Lensher and Rafael Bas, and the hybrid consensus algorithm was also proposed by them, but we make some strategic changes to that paper to demonstrate that we can formally optimize some of the pieces of that paper. And so the fruits are basically, the fruits are related to the blocks, and the fruits are just imagine like a real world example where the squirrels are trying to mine the fruits off of the tree. And so we want to prevent the squirrel from hogging the tree, so from mining multiple fruits. And we want to ensure, I mean, I wouldn't want that in real world, but we want to ensure that in this world. So one of the persons was laughing. So so I want to ensure that the squirrels are not able to mine all of those fruits just to keep all the incentives with them. And so then we have this concept of fruit chain where all the fruits hang from a block which mined it, and they can only hang for a time. So there's a recency parameter that we have, so they can only hang for a while before you can kind of harness them or accrue the fruits, the minerals out of the fruits. So so these are the fruit chains that prevent the selfish mining pool, and all of them are, the rest of them are the details for the protocol. So the fruit chains, I'll just read it out. So intuitively, the reason why we require fruits to be present is to prevent a different kind of attack. Without it, an attacker could withhold fruits and suddenly release lots of them at the same time, thereby creating a very high fraction of adversarial fruits in some segment of the fruit chain. So they mine a lot of fruits and they get the incentives out of it. So by requiring the fruits to be recent, we prevent the adversary from squirreling away too many of the fruits. Since the underlying blockchain has guaranteed liveness, we can upper bound the extra amount of time the attacker can withhold the fruits, and so thus the upper bound the number of extra fruits that it can release in any window. So basically, all of these parameters, they're really, really easy to relate to once you have a real world example in front of you. So all these algorithms are not that hard algorithms. I mean, this is something very obvious once you kind of think about it in hindsight. But that's why we want in part the community to collaborate with us here, and we want guys to collaborate, researchers to be there, organizers to be there. And so we have, I'll just explain the status in a bit. So we have this community engagement program, and we have we want to focus on the problems and the researchers. Yeah, kind of talk for yeah, we don't want like just a set of people to develop this kind of consensus and then be in dark about the red flags that might come up. So we want to open this up to everyone. So that's why we're open source. Our project is out there. Our paper is out there. It's on archive. The Cornell's library. And the GitHub thing is open, and we are running a couple of projects which are in like in this stage, like we have the two core consensus repository, which is the core algorithm behind this, and then we have the engineering code, which is a fork of the Golang Ethereum code base. I started out personally with the Python implementation of true consensus, just so that because I was more of the Python guy before all this. So I started the prototyping in that, and then I moved on to Golang. So that just is a proof of concept right now. And so yeah, we started the lightweight wallet implementation as well, and we have that in the repository. And so we are implementing the hybrid protocol right now. And so because of that, we need to engage with the community. We want to build and ship the code at the same time with the open source community, and which is very difficult when you're in your initial phases. And so we want to have this model, which is the SRM ABC as we call it. And so the S model is, the S stands for the community leaders who will organize events with us, collaborate with enthusiasts, and manage sprints on the Gitter channel. Gitter is something where you can collaborate and talk to each other, just like Slack or an IRC channel and so on. And we want to have research guides, so we want to have some topics that we have at the moment, which are open challenges, and we want to present them to the community because there are certain hybrid consensus projects out there right now which do not discuss, or if you just might see the videos online, they would not discuss these particular questions. They would just say, for the sake of verbosity or something, I would just skip it right now. I would just skip this thing right now. I don't want to do that. We don't want to do that because we have to address that. And so we want to be able to have a research group which is collaborative and open to suggestions and changes. And it is driven by the community. So right now, just to give you an idea, we were already running with more than 400 guys in China as part of the core developer community. And we have already tested this model that works in China. But the reason we are doing this in the US right now because we are not connected yet, or not a lot of people know about it. So we wanted to do these talks. And because we are trying to achieve the same target, right? Everybody is just trying to achieve the scalability. So we want to let them know that we are doing this thing so that we can collaborate. And so there are these models and entire big communities that we're trying to now manage in China, but then at the same time do this in the US now. And we'll be giving a couple more talks. This is just the kickoff meeting, so that's why I kept it kind of shallow. But we'll do topic-wise in coming few months and weeks. And so following the SRM model, we have the community leaders, we have the research guys, we have the maintainers for the repositories, for the code bases. And then we have for the developers themselves, we have like the ABC model, where the A guys are the core developers of the platform. So they might face problems which are challenging and then kind of are not backward compatible or change the platform in ways which cannot be reversed or used by the guys using the earlier versions. So we want that, and an example of that would be the verifiable random function, or its variable, I think I know what it's called. So it's the variable random function, which is a cryptographic function, which tells you that certain sender is actually the one who sent a message. And so when we elect the committee guys, right, in the protocol, going back, in the protocol we elect the members in the permission chain. So we want to use this function and combine it with a couple of other variables and elect them. And that's a cryptographic challenge that we are collaborating right now with some guys in the university and out there in the community. And we want to be able to present that challenge to everyone else. And so then there's the B level, which is a bit non-trivial, but not really something that is blocking the progress of the entire project, but maybe some of the features. So it's a really good example would be just that you fail to generate a cross-platform binary, so you cannot use it on your Mac or something, and open issue there. And so maybe like in Golang you have XGo versus CGo, and so you have different libraries to generate these things, and one of the cryptography libraries was, in this case, doing an import capital C, which was importing the lib SECP2P 256K1 library for the cryptographic function. And so we failed to generate the platform binary for Mac. Anyway, so that was the example. And so then there's the low-hanging fruits, and we always like configuration changes or some logging changes or trivial bugs in the platform or some vulnerabilities that are not too high. And so we want to, this is the model, the ABC, DSR model we want to focus on and incentivize the community going forward. So these are the channels. feel free to visit them and join us in our endeavor moving forward. And we'll be really happy to collaborate with you guys. We have a core team of about 15 to 20 guys, 2 of us from India and the rest of them, kind of them from US and China. And so, yeah, we also wanna expand that, and that's our social media presence. And feel free to contact us and do sign up on GitHub channel. I'd be really happy to just sign you up right now if you want. And that's about it. Thanks for Starfish Spaces, especially to Dennis. And
We'll take a couple questions.
Do you guys have any
yeah, by the way, yeah, sorry. Any questions and everything, please.
So since the value of your token from January now has went up, right? Has that opened up new verticals to use your platform for scalability in the last few months, like new surprising verticals? Did anything come out because people know that your white paper and roadmap is real because you're sticking to it? It opened up new avenues for the developing community that's surprising to you guys.
See, the first bumper that I'll tell you about was we actually chose Fabric, Hyperledger Fabric to start with. It doesn't have the wallet, it doesn't have the EVM, it doesn't have the entire maturity of the Ethereum ecosystem. But I won't say that I'm not comparing Fabric and Ethereum because it's a permission consensus and it's a permission chain. But we had picked up just thinking that we just use that framework, but then when we actually opened this up to the community, we had some brainstorming sessions and then we changed that to Ethereum moving forward. So that was one of the first setbacks or actually good things for us at the same time, bittersweet experience, because had we not known about this and had we not opened up to the community, we had never known about how much time we end up spending, because a lot of us were personally noobs in this whole thing, but we kind of actually connected to more Ethereum guys, core community, Fabric community, and so on. So we got to know that stuff. But apart from that, actually, because hybrid consensus is pretty new, right? So we had a couple of calls with potential prospective clients and people who might want to do consortium chain first. A permission chain. So for example, you have to get the banks first comfortable onto the permission chain and then get them onto the public chain. They cannot go right away to the public chain. So yeah, those discussions happen and this was related to that. Thank you. Any other questions, please?
Hi, first of all, congratulations for your courage to go in front of us and discuss this subject matters. Very brave of you. And I really would like to understand what you try to promote over there. And also, I would like to explain very clear and simple what kind of community you are talking about. Because I saw the print screen, it's a code review of GitHub, but it's a community of developer. You know what I mean? It's more like what is our purpose and what you try to promote and explain much better what is this community.
Right. I got the second question, but I kind of forgot the first one. Could you repeat that, please?
I try to understand what you are saying because you start to explain what is proof of work, proof of stake. It's a concept of who will make the decision. For example, who has the most amount of coins or who is miner the coins. But you are saying about the community. Which community? Is the community of the miners? Is the community of the developers? Is the community of the investors? It's not clear for me.
Okay.
Sorry, I am lazy.
No worries. No worries. So I kind of did I just like go too fast from the explanation of the protocol itself to the community? If yes, then I'll just explain it again. So the protocol itself, I was just trying to explain the paradigm shifts in the consensus, right? Like there was proof of work, there was proof of stake, but then we kind of go with a modified form of proof of work. And this is for the miners. This is for the guys who are who are running full nodes on their networks. So each of the guys in this diagram that I showed you over there, so each of the guys are running a full node which is running PBFT protocol as well as a PoW protocol, a modified version that I said, like the TrueChain and the BFT committee. So they're all participating in the network. However, you can have lightweight wallets just producing the request, right? As an investor and as a guy who's just running a smart contract on top of the chain, because it's Ethereum, you can run your code bases that you run in Solidity on top of Ethereum, just like here. And so you can do that, you can migrate and so these are the guys who are running all these things, as well as the guys who are just literally exchanging money over the platform, which is what goes in there. And did that answer the question, or?
No, because what I see over there, JSON is a kind of file, peer-to-peer is a concept for file that you can share with it. You just needed a computer, but I am trying to understand what is this community? Is the miners, is the developers, is the investors, who has the most high amount of coins?
I think you're talking
what
about
you try to promote.
I think you're trying to talk about the hash power versus the I mean, kind of tangentially related is the concept of that you have a majority of stake in the system, may it be coins or may it be the hash power, may it be GPU or FPGA or whatever hardware is. So there are these various problems that these protocols face. And so please don't connect this to the community effort, because that's the separate effort that I want to talk about. But this is just the protocol itself, how it runs on your system. When you actually run this framework, when you run TrueChain on your network, you might be an investor as well. You just might be a guy who's looking to mine more things. So there's an incentivization model. There's an incentivization model that is associated with this whole thing. So are you trying to answer that?
Well, so I think you just confused the community committee thing. I think he's asking about the committee of blue nodes. He wants you to explain that further, but he accidentally said community. I think you're asking about this node.
Who is the community? Is the miner, the developer?
Yeah, he wants to know who or how.
Two nodes right there. Yeah, one is committee and one is the community. So community is what I talked about. Yeah. So community was the developer community, everybody out there who are actually working on the project or just promoting it. But this question was if it pertains to just the committee, and the committee is the guy who's running the network, who's running the node on the network. Just like you run Ethereum. Yeah, these may be miners. Yeah. So basically, it's just a full node, right? When you have this tool called get or mist in Ethereum, if you might be aware. So you run get on your network, and you just might be a miner with a very big hash power, like GPU farming farms or something like that.
When I mined Ethereum, I participated in a pool. For example, you are the boss.
Yeah.
I am saying because when you try to promote a community, for example, Upper Pool is a community that the miners, you can be part of this. You just didn't have a computer that you can.
Right. So I'm not promoting the community to just be part of this thing so that they can gain incentives out of it. That was a separate talk, and this was just the guys who are running the nodes. And this is not the promotion effort that I'm doing here. And I'll answer the second question. I'm promoting this just to get you guys involved and be aware of this thing, but that doesn't affect at all how this protocol runs or how you receive money out of it. It's totally out of how you actually invest in this thing, or how you run it, and then how much power you have. But that's a different topic. I'll be glad to invite you to a separate talk, because the incentive model is quite complex to be discussed and out of scope of the kickoff meeting that I'm having.
Just one more question.
Yeah.
What is your vision for this project?
What is the what?
Vision.
Vision. The vision is just to scale it. That's what I kind of mentioned in the beginning of the talk, was just to scale the transactions per second that you can achieve. So right now, when you run your contracts on Ethereum, you might have to wait 10 minutes or 1 hour, or in the case of the CryptoKitty thing that happened last year in December, you had waited everybody waited for 3 hours for the block to get confirmed. We don't want that to happen again. So we're just trying to achieve transaction finality, where once your block is confirmed, your transaction is final, or maybe it takes just 1 second to confirm your block rather than 10 minutes or so. Because of the gossip protocol that this thing follows, like everybody just talks to everybody else. I don't have to do any kind of computation in the blue region. I don't have to do any kind of computation power or use the hash power of my computer to just arrive at a consensus. So I also don't expend as much energy, and at the same time I'm speeding it up. That's the vision of the company, to just speed up things.
Thank you.
for public chains. Thank you.
I got a couple questions. How mature is the PBFT? Is that something that you're taking from an existing project or cooking up in-house? And then,
PBFT was just a classical distributed systems paper that was out there and being used in the Paxos, the Raft, and like coming from Red Hat, we had our own products for software-defined networking, software-defined storage. So these Raft and Paxos modified versions are being used in all of these projects, like distributed hash table. It's an inspiration from this time.
plugging it into Ethereum.
Plug it into the storage.
Do you feel like that's a trivial task?
No, if you might have seen Hyperledger Fabric, right? They had done, right now they're using, I think it's Zookeeper plus Kafka to arrive at consensus, but that's, it's a crash fault tolerant. It's not the fault tolerance that we're talking about here. So, but it has been tried out, and I think they personally provide the PBFT services, but it's just a permission chain. So a lot of projects out there have adopted this PBFT protocol, but they're all on permission chains. And some of them who have adopted it publicly are, I don't know how far they are, but they have a different model.
And where are you guys? Is it like a test net up or like?
Yeah, the testnet would be up in about a week or 2 weeks at max. And yeah.
Any more questions? Oh, we got one.
So when you said the nodes are hidden, are they hidden? So like, is that the main committee that is hidden? And like, who is that hidden from? So are the committee members, do they know that they're a node in this committee, or is that knowledge hidden from them?
Yeah, so that's part of the function that I was talking about, which is the variable random function, the VRF function. And it has been proposed to the IETF organization, which keeps track of all the protocols, right? So it is a standard level project and the theory. And when I say hidden, I want to say hidden because everybody else around me can actually see who am I, and then they can bottleneck my network. I mean, they can block it, and they can throw some requests per second, and then I won't be able to just provide my services anymore. And so that's why we want those nodes to be hidden from the rest of the world. But those nodes inside out right now in the PBFT protocol, they know each other. Because then when I know you, I know how to communicate. I know your address, so I can just send a packet directly to you. And if I don't know that, then I have to do the peer-to-peer thing that we have in Tor or other networks at the moment. And so there is a cryptographic research topic, which also kind of, it's in progress. I mean, you can follow a protocol where you do not know other committee members, but then you kind of make a request, and it gets resolved over the network. You can add the VRF function in the block itself. Right now in Ethereum, we have the VRS function. So that's like the signature out of the elliptical curve DSA algorithm that we have for cryptography. So you kind of slice up the digits that you have. I mean, after the guy signs the payload, there's a signature that is produced, and you slice it up in three phases, and so you don't have to provide your public key to verify the message. You can just decrypt it from the VRS signature. But the VRF function kind of does the same functionality, but you do need the public key, but it has various other advantages. And so we want to be able to use that and some modification of the Diffie-Hellman function, maybe in future. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Any other questions, please? Yeah.
So, what is the problem that you are giving the solution?
Transactions per second, man.
So, you are saying about the hash power, but a hash power, it's a connection, how much more process that you can give for the network for affect the transactions in the blockchain. So I am very confused. What is this all about?
Okay, so right now, because of the proof of work, you have to do a lot of brute force on your computer. There's a Hashimoto dagger algorithm in the Ethereum thing. Basically, which just means that you have to perform again and again the same steps, and then you kind of achieve like an address of certain length, and it has to have like a certain number of zeros in the beginning, as we all know it. And so then when we achieve that, we gain the right to say that this is the block that I'm proposing, and it should be added to your ledger, right? That's the conventional scenario right now. But because the brute force takes a lot of your time. It is a memory map function. So whatever memory that you have in your laptop right now, it is all used up. It all heats up when you run that protocol. We don't want that to happen because first, it consumes a lot of energy, and the second thing is that it takes a lot of time to achieve at a certain decision. And so when we cut that off, so we are doing just the validation in the blue region. The red guys do not do the verification here, verification and validation, as you might say. And so just the blue region does the verification, and so this means that they do not have to do those many computational steps. They can just talk about it. There's a different protocol that's called gossip protocol. So I can just talk to you about it. I can just send my messages over the network, and I don't have to do any computation. It doesn't heat up and doesn't take as much time.
It's very interesting because you are saying to me, this system set up for you have a line of time to figure it out this block. Yeah. And this block means you have the rear. The rear is the coin that you figured it out. But you are saying to me, you try to hack a way that you don't need affect all the transaction and just go directly in the block that I will take the coins and put in my pocket.
There is certain level of non-triviality associated with this. It's not as simple when I talk to you about the PBFT layer, which is what I was trying to get the hands on for you guys, which is when you kind of do a request. Let's just say the C letter there is the client, the 0th line, that is the leader. And so in the blue region that I showed you, right, they have a leader. You can have a leaderless protocol, but let's just talk leader-based protocol because that's simpler for now. So the 0th line is the leader from that blue region, and the 1, 2, 3 guys are also from the blue region. So when the client sends a request, it sends it to the leader, and the leader pre-prepares a block or a transaction. You may have it as a transaction or a block. And the guy says that, okay, this is what I'm ready to talk about, but I'm not talking about it yet. And so then when the guy is ready to talk about it, everybody prepares their own blocks, and they send it across the network. So in this one, we have the third line as the adversary. So who's just not doing anything. If you see going further, there's a request phase, there's a pre-prepare phase, there's a prepare, there's a commit, and there's a reply. And so the guy on the third line is just not doing anything. That's the adversary in our case. And so then when the pre-prepare phase happens, the first and the second line, they kind of reply to everybody else. So this is the mathematical proof that we have. Like we have to receive the request from 2f plus 1 guys. F is the fault tolerance in the network. So if you are faulty, I would count you in the F part. So I should have at least I should have more than or less than 1/3 of faulty nodes in the network who can do the behavior that the third guy is doing. And so then through that protocol and some mathematical procedures, we ensure that we can achieve the consensus. So it's fault tolerant, but it doesn't take as much energy. But the problem that not a lot of guys out there are doing it is because it needs 1, 2, and 3 need to know the addresses of each other. You need to know my personal address to be able to communicate with them. So it cannot run in a public chain. And so that's the hack that we're doing at the moment to connect it to a public chain. And proof of work is better tested, so we are just going with proof of work at the moment.
In another word, you try to hack the Ethereum because you try to promote an algorithm that you say, hey, you know why? I have the best solution to fix the problem of figure it out where's the coins, and I will go there more faster than everybody. And I am say everybody, I am say the Ethereum. So I am trying to promote an algorithm that is more fast, there's more smart, that is go exactly what I want. I want the weird, I want to have the coins. I want to promote Ethereum, yes, but I want to promote it the smart way. I give you my hash power, but I want my coins to this. So it's very complex, this algorithm, and if you can't fix this problem, you have the golden key in your head.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, just one more point there. So then the incentivization model that we're talking about, we have a model for that, so I'd be glad to discuss it with you in person. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks to Matt and Dennis and everybody for